Welcome, punters, traders, dribblers, and investors. Well, the day ahead of the Fed, futures themselves were choppy all over the place. As far as stocks went, natural gas flew over $8, came back under it. Oil, still very well bid, got over 105, it's around 103 right now. But where the real action was about value versus growth. Stocks, and the rubber's starting to meet the road, which is the theme of it. The best case was that little dribbler they call Lyft. Lost another 33%, just truly dreadful and awful earnings. As you remember, that and Uber are both in the DD that we've been carrying. The DDD, and you put 4 Ds on this one. But seriously, just dreadful earnings. These companies, they're losing value. They don't make money. All of the things, and there's a lot of funds and retail. I'm in these just because of brand names. Anyway, we'll touch that. We got the glorious Madavi here. We'll go through that and some other stocks we mucked around in. So about forward here is Madavi. And remember, this is not financial advice. It's just a couple of dribblers dribbling away about what we saw. So let's have a quick look at it. So where we are right now, oil 103.44, WTI of course, the Henry Hub 781, SPX 4183, Nasdaq 13134, Russell 1899, and the Volex, which is a few handles below VIX, is 2872. We closed at the low of Vol, and that came off quite a bit today, which is interesting. Went behind what could be a momentous day tomorrow as far as Fed goes. So we saw anyway a 9.6% decline in that CBOE. So a reminder that the Australian RBA rose rates last night a little bit more than expected. The Fed's raising tomorrow, Bank of England the day after, right? And I think Brazil's reporting tomorrow night as well, and they'll most likely raise. So you've got that. And you saw when there was any mention of 0.75 or 3 basis point rise, 75 basis points, the market came off swiftly there today. The market is already tapped in at 50. The question is it going to be next month as well? So it all comes down to what Jerome Powell has to say. And as we were discussing earlier, it's a difficult job for him when you got just willy-nilly spending and politicking and all that going on. So, and somehow he's meant to pick up the pieces. So that's all going on. Let's have a quick look at the SPOOs. Where are we? So we really didn't do too much on futures today. A few plays off the lows here. You can see nothing really new since that low yesterday, right? And you can see today we just hung in a small bar. We did a few scalps. I think the biggest was like 25 or something, handles like that. So nothing more. So tomorrow, this is your low support, that low of the other day. Actually, you can probably go to today's low. And your tanking is your resistance. So keep it simple as, right? Go to your, and use your Murray and your Cloud. So here we have the 5 minute. You can see it was just a chop. So that's a good time to avoid the market. Okay, let's bring on Madavi to talk some Nasdaq. My voice just went there. You there, mate?
Well, Nasdaq, like I said, I've been hanging out with my swing position for, last 2 or 3 weeks. To counter when I see today was a terrible day because we went from long and from negative to positive several times. So it could have been a fake out. What I did to kind of protect myself a little bit, I did buy some futures, SPOOs, S&P, to kind of offset anything that might have happened in the Nasdaq, but not really much happened. I did a couple what did we do? Made like two or three trades, I think, in the futures.
Yeah, max once on a pullback.
Yeah,
We went long, and then once when it looked like a failed breakout. Yeah.
It was a pretty difficult day. We got the Fed coming out. A lot of these stocks have earnings, and I was trading a lot of these stocks just negative to positive. A couple of them I got caught in, and then one of them, I had some options in it for tomorrow, not realizing it was an earnings day, and going into this kind of shock, but kind of ill prepared, but
Well, it was a nice surprise. So we're talking about one of the DDDs, Lyft, that we both had short, and lo and behold, they had a shocking earnings. We knew it was coming out with stocks, but as far as the optionality factor was a little bit different. But so that's worked out quite nicely. They're puts, obviously. So that was 32.
Options.
We shorted it yesterday at 32 odd, and it's trading at 22 right now. So it's lost more than a third of its value. Uber, whichever part of the world you come from, got wrecked with it as well. And if you recall, that was one we added yesterday. It's been quite a nice diet in that. We'll have a look at those charts real quick here. Let's just look at energy first. So Natty trading like a gem right now. Let's have a look at that and see that. So the short came in. If you weren't, remember, this is now invalidates this, so it's 305. But so those that trade the cold, this was a good opportunity here for you. That was a nice trade, but you can see when it got over 8, gave it up. 7, 8, 25. Remember, this is from a weather situation in the US, as we talked about yesterday. Daily. And so there's some stocks traded really well off this. EQT was one, SWN, little ones like that. Anyway, you can see even perfect. And look where it's getting to, almost +8. So stick to those rules. We do have lots of oil chatter with OPEC and Russia and all that. EIA tomorrow. Same pennant, right? Just hanging in here, smack between that. You go to daily. Where is my daily? There you go. So look how sideways all this is, right? So obviously this builds a lot of energy. Some would argue it's consolidating in this whole band at much higher levels. Okay, let's look at the stocks. Firstly, we're going to remind Madavi did this one yesterday. If you recall, he shorted Expedia. So that worked out really well. That continued down lower. If you recall, he went home short this. EXPE, and that fell another $20. Remember, again, earnings that were dismal. Then today, this is the peste de resistance, was good old Lyft that we were just talking about. So here's the hard thing, is where do you buy them back, right? So obviously, and unfortunately, because you're used to some of these rip-ups, so personally covered them way too early. But because you're up $4 or $5, which is a good return, then it becomes $10. But then so the trouble is, as a trader, sometimes you watch the price action when you don't have a proper time to read it. So you're actually able to get short up here if you at 32.8 if you're fortunate enough, at +2.8. We're already short this, as Madavi mentioned. And then it come down, and he had a ton of puts. It broke this level on the number. This is where we actually added Uber, because this had already gone. And it just continued. I didn't realize this kiss of death, because we didn't have this chart. Look at that. Just accelerated. But here it did a bit of work, and that's what got us out of a bit. It was 28 to 27, but looking at the chart now, that's kind of a bit silly. You can see it's finally trying to find some support here, but it's not really bouncing, right? Just absolute dog of a stock. If we look to weekly, I mean, you know our views on all this stuff, I think, most of you. So look what it got down to. So there is a gap it just filled today that you may have heard it talked about. That filled this gap, Madhav. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So that gap is done. There's going to be some dribblers say, that's good. But the trouble is, unless the market's short, why are you going to buy this, right? They've obviously got issues. Economy's slowing. They don't make money.
Between a bull market and a bear market is this. If you're going to be in a bear market, you better damn well be having your revenues and stuff spiking real hard because you're a growth company. And even in a bull market with stocks that fly, they need to have heavy revenue so they can show these are companies. The worst recipe going into a bear market or any market is your revenues are declining, especially in this sort of scenario.
Yeah, I mean, it's you just dropped out a bit there, mate. But yeah, it's not a good situation for it all.
So you need to have like perfect, what do you call it? Going into this situation, like AMD, for example, that thing just blowing out on all cylinders. But going into a bear market and your revenues are declining in a stock like this that really doesn't make money, it's not going to be pretty.
No. And see, here's the whole reason we kind of can't stand the dribblers out there, because they're punting all these stocks, but all of them, all this software crap, when it was way up the top, when there wasn't much room it could go. It had to be absolutely perfect each earnings. So us from the pro side are like, well, why would you own any of these? So you're actually trying to short them or stay away from them or this. And so here it comes home to roost, and now they're telling you that there's situations. I mean, let's be realistic, right? And so what we're saying now, so remember, you always should go into the trading with a defensive mindset, like a footballer. Get your defense set straight. And everything Madavi's saying is everything that was self-evident last year, right? So look where we are. You shouldn't be in a situation as an investor hoping to God that you're going to have a good earnings when the odds are almost negligible, right? In the growth situation. And here we are, by the way, because this is a weekly, so it does an update after hours till tomorrow. Look at this. We're actually down here, this breakup level from October last year. This is a very brutal chart. And everyone wants to make fun of Cathie Woods and all this. Well, these are all the stocks that the dribblers are in, right? I mean, Zoom. I mean, we know, all the regular ones we say. But what was Zoom was like? Where did we see it today? 16, 17? Something like that, I don't know. But here you are in a daily. We're underneath all this. Remember, so here's your 5 minute. Look what happened. So AMD, we'll look at real quick. That's a little bit different because it actually had decent earnings. Well, again, they're dialed down so much, right? And the market gets one way. And the market... So here's the thing with bear markets, after long market, bull markets that no one is familiar with, the bear side, they constantly live in hope. So that's why the bounces and shorts, and that's why something like Lyft was hard. Where do you take your profit, right? So what's worked out really well for Madavi is that he's got puts that are all go for tomorrow, right? So you can't do anything tonight. So let's look at where you can buy stocks, I guess. Okay, so here's AMD, a beat, a popped up, and you can see the initial flow. You can see the difference. And it's still got room. It only got to 7/8, so potentially there is room. But that is a 5/8 move. Very simply, you can see this Cajun's flat. The Tenkin's turning up. If this was to roll over, that would give you a good indication back towards this Cajun. That's a 5 minute chart. If we were to look a little bit deeper, you can see it's trying to roll up on a daily basis, right? So we're actually up here now. So you actually broke the Tenkin today. If you were game to go long into the earnings, I know options were through the roof, so that was a tough call. And then your Cajuns, your 104, should we get going. Anything else we want to look at, mate?
Well, you know, I am also on a revenge factor, trying to, that these companies, they're just been owing me so much money. I just can't believe these stocks are up.
Well, that's the trouble, right? That's like, as you know, I'm buying Lyft back, and then it's like, damn, because that's what it used to be. So you just stay in them till there's a hole. But so lately, because you still got it's a combination of algorithms and all these people are averaging, that they would bounce in your face. You can remember Snap when it had its earnings a few weeks ago, which we saw actually, but that was 30 to 22 back to 30. Remember that? Like a minute. Yeah. So that's unfortunately, my mistake is it happened all pretty quick. I didn't realize that as bad as bearish as what I was, that lists were that bad. And sometimes I check myself in these sort of markets because we grow up trading commodities and stuff fast and hard, and you got to react fast to not be too bearish. But they'd remind me, dude, what are you doing? But sometimes it works in your favor, sometimes against you, and they're gifts when you're actually in the right way on that. Okay, so we got the Fed tomorrow. Quick look at bonds. So basically what you saw today was a bit mixed, as you'd see. So what you saw was the shorter tenors, i.e. that's more where the interest rates are, were weaker. They were all in the red. So the 2-year was up 3 basis points at 276. Remember, that's been at... so that's your Fed funds. The 3-year was up 1. If you go out to 10 years, that was minus 4 basis points, which means the yield was down, the bond was up. That got over 3% this morning and yesterday. And the 30 years, 301 down 0.6. So you can see they've all adjusted for tomorrow's inevitable announcement. The question is, what does the guy say? What does Powell say? He doesn't want a market rout, but he needs to. What he has to do is get confidence that he is controlling inflation, even though he said he can't because it's a supply issue, and he's got a government that just trucking trillions of dollars off out the back door, right? So it's not easy for him. Bottom line, so it's be interesting how he words it. It's going to take some real political skills. And the dribblers just don't get it, right? The damage that can come and you know. So you can see what the bond market thinks. You've got on the currencies, there's a good article on this website, how it's a 20-year high on the dollar because of these yields, and also because Japan is just constantly buying bonds. So the spread between dollar yen and that, and don't forget that's intentional. Everyone thinks, it's the end of... No, they're a massive exporter. Their biggest competitor is China. This crushes that whole... They need to get more competitive. China's trying to bring down their currency as well. So it's kind of a race to the bottom. Obviously, Japan's always considered much better quality, etc., etc. China's kind of the low end. So that's what's going on that you never read about. That's what's really going on in the currency wars. And so because of everything else going on, wars and inflation, it's just passing by. And so the Bank of Japan knows what they're doing. Don't worry about that. It's not just quantitative easing and all that. It's also export battle. They're two massive exporters, right?
I hope they know what they're doing. I mean, they're saying these cowboys and these politicians just waste money.
No, I'm talking about Japan, not the US.
Oh man!
I'm talking about the dollar yen and the renminbi. Yeah.
You know, there was a time where $1 billion actually meant something. Now it's like nothing. It's like water.
Yeah. You know, I heard someone yesterday. They were talking about billionaires, right? So Elon Musk and all this, and it's going to be interesting if we're atop of something. But does it not become too long? Maybe the next big sequence of all these big upswings that we have a trillionaire. Do you think that's possible, mate?
Oh yeah. Dude, trillion is going to be the next billion. The way he's got. I mean, you got that old man over there, man. He just roping billions of dollars out like nothing. You know, I'm just like.
Oh, you mean no. I don't mean politicians pissing it against the wall. I mean like like Elon Musk or someone like that.
Plus the 3/4 of the way there, right? And pretty soon it's going to be with inflation there. I think by the next 2 or 3 years we'll be trillionaire pretty soon. I mean, there was a time where I was growing up, there was no billionaires, like 50, $100 million that meant something. Now it's like, you're not a billion, you're not in the boys BBC club, billionaires boys club.
What about the billionaire girls?
Well, yeah. You got that little Kardashian. She's supposed to join the club too.
Well, you got Reinhold from Australia, iron ore.
Yeah.
You got a few of them, yeah.
She's there taking Snapchat pictures or something, or makeup.
But that's cruel. But on a serious note, so the reason I mentioned, a lot of people almost want Musk to lose all their money, and so it's bizarre the way they don't want freedom of speech. And he's been having a bit of a game, I've noticed, going on about Epstein and why are they covering this and this whole Ministry of Controlling, what do they call it? What's the thing the US just did? Ministry of Information, Disinformation.
Yeah,
I mean, how do people just sit back and accept that, right?
They're trying to keep track of their own lives.
Yeah.
I mean, you got so much. They lie so much, they need someone to keep track of it, I guess.
you know, there was a song back in Australia. I think it was called Flame Trees by Cold Chisel. But there's a line in it, and it's basically about Friday night at the pub. You know, like everywhere in the world, everyone goes down. How'd your week go? And it's like
BBI.
I forget the exact lyric, but it's like they'd call them factory out of workers, which means you're basically a nice way of saying you're on the dole. You're not going to work, then out of workers, the economy, whatever, however you want to play it. But the key is who can tell the biggest lies, right? So So now, I forget the whole thing. It was kind of funny, but we all know that's about politicians. But it's what's scary. It's next level with all that now, right? And you got this partisan politics that mainly in the US, if they're a Democrat, Lord knows if you say anything about them, and if you're a Republican, Lord knows the same thing. So it's just bizarre. It's just hard to believe that people are, like, we say it's sheeple and we make fun of it, but it's hard to believe educated people think like that.
Even Nancy Pelosi got on a plane, went to visit. She wanted to make sure she got the right scoop, right?
Well, here's what's interesting with her. Someone sent me a snippet last night.
I mean, you've never seen that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, they got some weapons to sell, mate. But don't forget. But I got a question for you, mate.
Hey, Biden today, where's his first trip to today? To the weapons manufacturer. Check it out. He just want to make sure his check was ready.
Well, here's a quick fact. So apparently all the Democrats hate Musk, even though he's electric vehicles and that was going to save the world and solar energy, right? Oh, why? Because he wants freedom of speech, but somehow that's not good. Blah, blah, blah. But the funny thing is, if all Nancy Pelosi's positions are correct, her biggest one's in Tesla. So she must sit there going, hang on, you idiots. That's my biggest percentage. We can't hate Elon Musk. We can't hate Tesla. Can you imagine what goes on? Or does she know what goes on? Or is that, I can't keep up with it.
She had to go make sure her slice was in that.
Right.
Make sure her hands are out there. They're all flying out there. Hey, where's my cut? They go and manufacture weapons. Make sure cuts are available. I mean, it's like fun day, man. You know.
Exactly. And I should point out, just as well, we're not financial advisors. We're certainly not political advisors either.
They're going out there because they care. Everybody thinks. Now they're going out there and make sure, hey, this account, right there. Make sure you know where to deposit.
Wow. Of course, punters and dribblers, we say this all in jest. Nothing like that would ever happen. Only in the movies. So let's look at what's going to come out tomorrow. Because
follow the money trail, they say, and look where it leads to. You know?
Well, I tell you what, though, I hope she doesn't have any Lyft shares or Uber shares. There was a rumor that a lot of that Californian politicians have big holdings in these companies, Uber and Yuma with Uber and Lyft and all that. What's her son-in-law's name?
She buys options and stuff, and millions and millions of dollars.
Not bad for a left-wing politician. Anyway, let's have a look at what's coming out tomorrow. So remember, tomorrow's FOMC, Thursday is BOE, and then Friday's jobs. So tomorrow we got the mortgage index. That's going to be a doozy. That was down 8% last week. Rates are through the roof. Then we got ADP out tomorrow. They're looking for 390,000. Last month was 455,000. The trade balance. So your president's doing a heck of a job here too, mate. Another record. Last month was 89,000. 97. Sorry, did I say 1,000? Dude, I just did the same thing. I meant to say billion. 89 billion. 97 billion is what is expected tomorrow, my darling. Impressive. The PMI services or non-manufacturing's out. 54.7. Is the IHS one and ISM one, which comes out 15 minutes. I'm buggered if I know what the difference is, but I'm sure there is 58.7. The EIA number is coming out tomorrow for oil. And then, of course, we got the big one, the FOMC at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. There you have it. Fun and games.
Have you noticed we got a lot more new numbers now? It's like we never had this many numbers. We used to have a couple of key ones we used to check. Now they got numbers and they've been pretending they've been tracking this stuff for the last 30 years.
Well, what happens is, so I was told this many years ago by some old astute traders. So what happens is when the markets go sideways, and these are futures blokes, all of a sudden, if you're a stock market guy, right? It's all about earnings, blah, blah, blah. And it's really just to get the stocks moving, i.e. make commission. So in the futures world, it used to just be like you said, job number, maybe the trade number, CPI, something like that. Now it's like every little thing. Shit, we need a few ticks, we need a machine. And so the algos just keep moving it, and the dribblers just always bullish, right, or always bearish, whichever way the bigger trend is. So it does distract, but also just constantly generates momentum, which generates fees, taxes, all that. And it also keeps the market higher or lower, or consolidates. You can see that in oil. That's why oil's been churning up and down $7 or $8, right? On stuff that normally doesn't matter. So
here's the thing you guys got to keep in mind. People are looking at our portfolio like, how can we go down even more? My portfolio is down huge. Well, they're not in the Nancy Pelosi stocks. That's why they still got a lot more.
Well, I'll show you how far they can go. Let's have a look at this little dribbler. We talked about at the top of the hour. Look at this. So we even did this, and we're bearish as all heck on this. This is this is in our DDD. We even bought it back earlier. So just imagine the bulls that are holding this thing, but it's not even a waterfall. It's like, what is it? A lava pit or something.
Look at stocks like Match. If dating apps are not doing good right now, just imagine a couple of months from now.
Well, everyone will be dating, won't they? Or did I miss something?
I
know there's a joke. I know there's a joke there somewhere.
They got to be splitting French fries because that's going to be $100 French fry.
Yeah. I got it. Yeah, your place or mine, right? Okay.
Yeah. Hey, but the good thing is, let me tell you, when you got inflation, the best thing to do is borrow as much money you can right now.
Again, we are not financial advisors or political experts.
No opinion. Inflation is rampant. You want to borrow as much as you can, right? And buy and use that money to pay everything. Because if inflation gets crazy rampant, man, with a job in McDonald's, you can pay all that off in a week.
So hang on. How did we morph from dating to borrowing as much as you're telling me. I know you go on some expensive dates, but how expensive was the last girl? I mean,
you're always paying as a male here. That's why I like the new stuff. They go, hey, we gotta, split it. That's great. That's never happened yet. I'm hoping for that shoe to catch up.
Yeah. Well, I guess miracles happen for you, mate. But
yeah.
So here's match. Look at this thing. We played around in this, but I gotta say the spread's a little bit wide. So
they are a little bit wide, but one thing,
yeah.
You gotta really enjoy this. I mean, I still have some left. I'm really enjoying it right now. I think we're doing good.
So I didn't ever get through here. So this is the old Tinder one. This is Tinder, right? And Match.com.
Yeah. You got that, and you got the Bumble. I mean, I like Bumble. I like all of them.
Yeah. Well, you're a connoisseur of that sort of stuff. So if we look at, so if we get through here, which we are, this is 79 at closure at 75. You got all this room down here potentially. So minus 2/8 on this is $25. So that tells me people have swiped too much to the left or too much to the right. Can't say I'm that good at that stuff. So yeah. So anyway, everyone, lots of big stuff coming out. I hope we didn't dribble away too much there, but try and keep a little bit of fun in a really dry time. Great. So you can see kind of what we're doing. You seek out the trend and the markets when they're there. And remember, it's always better, even when we jest about Lyft getting out too early, it's always better to get out too early than too late. Always remember that. Just think of the flip side of the dribbler that's on the other side of that, right? So, Natty, keep in mind where it is. Look at your weekly charts. Oil, big stuff coming out. And really, the bonds, Forex, watch them, how they react tomorrow to what Jerome Powell has to say. And that'll dictate your futures. And trade, what did you got a good tip yesterday, like trade size accordingly for stuff like this?
Size, and I think the fun's about to start. This is where I'm starting to have fun. I just need to sharpen up my skills. I'm disappointed in a couple of stuff I did, and I need to.
Well, I think the hardest thing is we're getting out of some really good shorts too early because we don't want to get caught, and so you fiddle with that with options, or it's hard to have trailing stops without getting pinged when you don't want to. That's particularly in an algorithm situation. So you either got to have them too tight, so you hear them ding and you can adjust, or you have them far enough where you hope you don't want to get hit. But the trouble is if you go too much with the ladder, you can basically be getting stopped out at the worst possible time. And the other one, you defeat the whole purpose and you're just turning a good swing into a little constant day trade, and you get slippage. And me and Madav were talking about that. So the difference is mainly trading SPOOs, I don't get the slippage that he gets trading NQs, right?
So let's give this example. You remember me when I said, hey, look how much I paid for the 2950s. You're like, man, that thing's you'll be lucky to make money on that, Because at that time, it was like 29.30.
Oh, yeah, because we didn't realize earnings were coming out.
I was like, yeah, you're right, man. This thing might be... So I automatically put like a thing in my head, which I should have never done. Maybe get out a little bit earlier, because I was thinking, yeah, he's right, because at 29.50, so...
Oh, yeah. Hang on, you're blaming me? Right? What the hell?
But, man... Boy, was that a bargain.
Well, here's the other... So here's something I started doing yesterday. It's pretty timely, but... So what I noticed was Uber kept lagging, and it does the same thing. So yesterday I was over to Banger, remember? And then today... So Lyft goes, and I'm like... Because we're already short, but to add to it. But then Uber was still sitting over $30. So... Get to know who goes with each other, what markets trade together, and don't waste too much time on stuff that isn't wasting time on it. And I talk to some of these people that we're friends with or through the room that off with some of these dribblers, and the nonsense that comes out of their mouths is dangerous. Just keep it simple, keep it smart, and at the end of the day, it's all how people react to things. People fear and greed, and but anyway, we're kind of dribbling on a bit now, aren't we? We talk about dribblers.
We got a lot of I think that things for date, mate. I'm gonna send you this little link. This is what you should look for and to the future.
Which one's that? You on the apparently. So I guess you're. So what do? So I haven't even looked at the earnings for tomorrow. I guess we should look real quick, punters. Let's see if. Hang on, bear with me. It should be on.
Actually, I got a couple of cool little links for you. You check out these things. You're pretty funny.
Is it for public consumption or something?
You decide on that. My sense of humor might not be everybody's.
So let's have a look here. So what's tomorrow? Wednesday. So the big one is CVS Health tomorrow. We'll share them. Oh, look who's out tomorrow.
Which one?
Do you see what I see?
It's going to be Uber, but Uber's
well, it's already been destroyed.
They usually come out on the same day. It's weird that they didn't come out today on the same day.
Well, I guess because they didn't want to get pummeled together, I guess. But you got CVS, you got Marriott, you got Moderna. Moderna's another big one. Etsy, that's a dribbler. Fortinet, Uber, and Booking Holdings. What did Booking used to be again?
Booking. Oh man, I hope that's like my what do you call it? Oh, what was that one we did yesterday? And man, this one it was the Expedia.
Oh, Expedia, yeah. Isn't it? Yeah. Who is it that we know that? We won't say his name, but that we have a mutual friend who. What did Booking used to be called?
It was the
price thing, right? Price line.
Price line, yeah.
Yeah. So as I recall from memory, he's got them at like $10 or $20 or something, and they're like thousands of dollars now, right? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah. So punters and dribblers, there is hope for you all. So he's turned that into hundreds of millions.
A friend of mine's grandfather, when Priceline was around $5.
So hang on, I was trying not to mention names.
I didn't say no names, but it's a friend of mine. His grandfather got Alzheimer's, right? And bought a bunch of Priceline at around $5, and then I guess he forgot about the account. And they were, I guess, in bad times, and the account was going through these accounts, I guess, doing Social Security check, and found that account, and that account was amazing. Let me tell you.
Right. And those that know us, you know who we're talking about. So good times. So unfortunately, no relation to either one of us, and the bloke's not the most generous bugger. But hey, life's good. So actually, Thursday you got Conoco, Dominion, Lucid, DoorDash. I saw DoorDash going down, Square, or it's now Block. So there's a few more potentials like today. Anyway, they're there. Enjoy. Have a good evening. So tomorrow's Fed Day. It's also going to be a little bit nutty when the ADP number comes out. But remember, you don't have to trade till Fed if you don't want to.
I call it Fed Fun Day.
Fed Fun Day. It is that.
We're going to have fun this year.
So how much? So yeah, don't get a lift to work tomorrow. It might crash. I mean, we shouldn't joke about that.
Hey, wasn't Lyft going to pay for people for a portion of the state fine or anything that said yesterday they were going to pay all the bills?
Yeah, I guess they're not doing that now.
Did I think that twice?
So our boy Johnny found this wonderful system, like tearing the Band-Aid off, except it's Lyft. So that's kind of what happened to Lyft today, wasn't it? Just tear it out. But it's a good description of what can happen to the rest of the market, I think.
Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and comment. And best of luck. We'll see you guys on that channel tomorrow.
And we'll see you at the roundabout. Bye now. Thanks for joining. And remember one thing. What was that one thing? Always be... Oh, man. So, Lyft. Hang on one sec.
All righty.